Namaskar students, welcome back to my another lecture. So in this lecture I am discussing the possible application of transistor. So in this lecture and in my previous lecture I have discussed the transistor as an amplifier, and then I have given the concept of load line. So again in this lecture I will give the concept of load line, so that is AC load line and DC load line. So as I have discussed with you in my previous lecture, that when there is no input AC signal is applied, only DC bias supply and then associated with current and voltage is there. And when we draw a straight line on the output characteristics of a transistor on x and y axis, on x axis we take collector emitter voltage, on y axis we take collector current. Then when we draw the straight line, so that is called as a DC load line. And now when we use transistor as an amplifier, then we apply an input AC signal. When we apply input AC signal, then I have discussed how the current and voltage notations change. And in that situation, if we draw a straight line on output characteristics of that particular transistor, then that load line is called as a AC load line. So in today's lecture, I will try to discuss the basic concept of AC load line. So in AC load line, it is a line along the Q point. It is a line basically on the output characteristics of a transistor along which Q point shift up and down. Okay, it means Q point basically moves along this AC load line when change in output voltage and current of an amplifier are caused by an AC signal. Remember, so when there is a little change in AC signal, okay, if there is little change in the input AC signal, that will cause the volt uh, output change in output voltage and current because of the change in AC signal. So then that Q point will move along the AC load line, okay, and this movement of Q point along AC load line is moving because of the change in the AC signal. Remember, and the movement of Q point along DC line, that shift up and down, that was due to the DC signal. So that is the basic difference between AC signal and DC signal, and that is the difference between how Q point is changing, Q point is moving on DC load line and AC load line. So on DC load line, Q point moves because of change in the DC signal, and Q point move on AC load line, and that is because of change in the AC signal. That is the difference. Okay, and when you draw the AC load line and DC load line, so I will show later here, you will find that this AC load line is steeper than the DC load line. That means the slope of the AC load line is larger than the DC load line. But but another point is that both AC load line and DC load line intersect at some point, and that intersect point is basically called as a Q point. Okay, and this Q point is determined by the purely DC biasing voltage and current. This Q point is not determined by the AC signal. Okay, whatever Q point we are determining, that Q point is determined and governed by only the DC signal, not it is governed by the AC signal. But the movement of Q point along AC load line, that is shifts, yeah, that shift up and down, that is because of the change in the AC signal. But the Q point is solely determined by the DC current and voltage. Okay, so this is second important point which we learned in AC load line. Another important point is AC load line take into account the AC load resistance. Okay, AC load resistance, whereas DC load line consider only the DC load resistance. So that is another important point to be noted in case of AC load line. In case of AC load line, we have to consider AC load resistance, but in case of DC load line, we have considered only the DC load resistance. Okay, that is the difference. So in order to draw the DC load line and AC load line, as we know, in case of DC load line, we require two end point on X and Y axis. So let us, for the case of DC load line, if you have end point, let us say A is the end point. So that is basically we have called cutoff point. So always that is for common emitter transistor, whatever configuration we are using, whether it is fixed bias, emitter bias, voltage divider bias, collector feedback, emitter feedback, emitter follower, common base, whatever transistor configuration you are using, this theory is valid for all configuration. So end point is always that is equal to the plus VCC. Okay, that is VC is equal to VC cutoff is equal to plus VC. That is one end point, that is A point, and another end point, that was one Y axis, that was IC saturation. IC saturation was always equal to VCC upon RC, means VCC upon load resistance, that is RC. This is A and B point. If we got 2 point, we can draw a straight line. So that was called as a DC load line. Once we are able to determine DC load line for a given particular transistor biased with any particular configuration, okay, then it is very easy to draw the AC load line. So for drawing the AC load line, we need to remember these two formula. So again, we require two end points in order to draw the AC load line. So let us say first end point is, that is C, another end point is D. Okay, so how to determine the cutoff point, that is one end point for AC load line, that small v capital CE. Remember why we are writing this small v capital C, because this signal is superimposed of both AC and DC signal. Okay, so cutoff point for AC load line, small v capital CE cutoff will be equal to Q point for the DC signal, okay, plus one of the Q point, that is VCEQ plus ICQ into AC load resistance. So VCEQ plus ICQ into RAC. So that is small v capital CE, that is one of the cutoff point for the AC load line, that is point C. Okay, and another end point, that is D, can be written as, that is small I capital C saturation collector current, that is equal to ICQ plus VCEQ divided by RAC, where RAC is the AC load resistance of the transistor. In case of DC load line, whatever RC we have used, that was the DC load resistance. Okay, that is what I have explained in the theory part of the AC load line. So this is the theory of AC load line. So let us try to solve few numerical example based on AC load line. So example first, let us say, so draw the DC and AC load line for the circuit shown in figure. If you see the circuit diagram carefully, so we have R1, we have R2, RC, RE. Okay, R1, R2 means we have a voltage divider biasing configuration. We have a plus VCC 20 volt power supply. And here, if you see at the input, AC signal is applied. Okay, the magnitude of AC signal may be given, maybe not given, maybe the magnitude of voltage may be given, maybe the magnitude of current will be given. It is irrespective, because if you see the theory, so here in theory part, in order to draw the AC load line, we do not require the magnitude of applied AC value of AC current or voltage. So that is why we no need to bother about whether this how much AC signal is applied, that is given or not. It is sufficient that the signal is applied. That's all. Okay. So because, and then capacitor C1 and C2 will be given. But here the capacitor AC load line does not depend upon C1 and C2 also. So we have to not bother about these numbers. So in order to draw the DC load line, in order to draw the AC load line, first we have to draw the DC load line. Then we have to determine the AC load line. Uh, First we have to draw the DC load line. Then we have to determine Q point. After determining the Q point, we can draw the AC load line. Okay. So in order to draw the DC load line, as I explained earlier, we have to find out two endpoint for the DC load line. For finding out the endpoint for the DC load line, I have discussed when I was teaching you voltage divider bias configuration. Again, I will teach this how to draw the DC load line. So in order to draw the DC load line, we have to apply Kirchhoff voltage law in output loop, or that is collector emitter loop. If you apply, so that is ICRC plus VCE, collector emitter voltage drop, plus IERE minus VCC equal to 0. Okay. So this is the uh, equation we will obtain by applying Kirchhoff voltage law. And we will approximate in order to simplify this equation, because we have two current, and here base current is of the order of microampere. Okay. So we can neglect base current. So we can approximate that emitter current will be always equal to collector current. So we can have a simplified form of this equation. So we can write VC is equal to IC RC plus RE minus VCC equal to 0, or collector meter voltage capital V capital CE. Remember, this we are analyzing for the DC signal. So that is why whatever letter we have chosen capital letter. So capital VC is equal to VCC minus IC in bracket RC plus RE. So in point for the DC load line, we know first condition we impose, that is IC is equal to 0. If collector current is equal to 0, that means transistor is in cutoff region. So we know that will give the, if you substitute IC is equal to 0 here, so that will give VCE cutoff. So VCE cutoff is equal to plus VCC, that is 20 volt. Similarly, if we impose second condition, that is if collector emitter voltage drop, that is VC is equal to 0 in this equation, that is VC is equal to 0. So that will give the collector current. So that is saturation collector current. So IC saturation is equal to VCC divided by RC plus RE. So that is plus 20 volt divided by 3 kilo ohm plus 2 kilo ohm, that is 4 milliampere. So these are the two end points. On the x-axis, this is 20 volt. On y-axis, we have 4 milliampere. So we can draw the DC load line. So if we draw the DC load line, so this is, let us say, 5 volt, 10 volt, 15 volt, 20 volt. This is VCE on x-axis. On y-axis, we have collector current IC, 2 milliampere, 4 milliampere, 6 milliampere. Okay. So on y-axis, we have 4 milliampere. On x-axis, we have 20 volt. So we can draw the DC load line. Okay. So this is the straight line combining these 2 points. So that is DC load line. Now, in order to draw the AC load line, we have to find out first Q point. So in order to find a Q point, we have to find out the first collector current, because collector current is Q point. In order to find out the collector current, we have to determine the emitter current. So how one can determine the emitter current? In order to determine the emitter current, we have to find out the what is the value of base voltage. Okay, and then we can approximate if this base voltage is much greater than the base emitter voltage. So this voltage will be equal to this voltage, and then we can, because this resistance is known, so we can find out the emitter current. So we know that base current by using approximate analysis. So we know that base current, this voltage at this point can be determined by using this equation, that is VCC into this resistance divided by this resistance plus this resistance. So VB is equal to R2 into VCC divided by R1 plus R2. That is 20 volt multiplied by 4 kilo ohm divided by 16 kilo ohm plus 4 kilo ohm. So that will give VB is equal to 4 volt. Okay. So that means base voltage, this voltage is equal to 4 volt. Okay. So VB is equal to 4 volt. We can write VBE. So this voltage drop across base emitter junction, that is, we can write VB is equal to VB, this voltage minus this voltage, VB minus VE. That is VB minus VE. Or we can write VE is equal to VB minus VBE. So V is equal to 4 volt we have determined, and VB is equal to 0.7 volt. Remember, this 4 volt is much greater than 7 volt. So in order to simplify our calculation, so I have neglected this 0.7 volt. So I will assume, so if you calculate 4 volt minus 0.7 volt, that will give the 3.3 volt. But rather than writing 3.3 volt, I'm approximating, this is approximately equal to 4 volt. So that will basically simplify our division. So that will give IE approximately equal to 2 milliampere. Otherwise, it will be less than 2 milliampere. Just to simplify our equation, I have taken that V is equal to 4 volt, though it is 3.3 volt, but I am assuming it is 4 volt. So IE will be equal to 2 milliampere. If I is equal to 2 milliampere, then we know this IE is equal to IC. Okay, as here we have approximated, IE is equal to IC, and this IC is basically one of the Q points. So this IC can be written as ICQ. So ICQ is equal to IC is equal to ICQ is equal to I is equal to 2 milliampere. So now one of the Q point we have determined. So by using, again we can apply Kirchhoff voltage line collector emitter loop. So we can determine the VCEQ, or just by substituting in place of ICQ IC, we can substitute ICQ, so we can find out VCEQ. If you do that, so VCEQ is equal to VCC minus ICQ in bracket RC plus RE. So VCEQ is equal to 20 volt minus 2 milliampere in bracket 3 kilo ohm plus 2 kilo ohm. So that is VCEQ is equal to 10 volt. So now check whether your Q point is correct or not. As I have discussed, your Q for transistor as an amplifier, your Q point should be middle of the DC load line. So if you see the end point, so one of the end point is 4 milliampere. So Q point should be middle. That means Q point should be 2 milliampere. That means, and we have determined Q point is 2 milliampere. That means our approximation was correct, and this Q point should be exactly 2 milliampere. And another Q point, if you see, cutoff point is 20 volt, end point is 20 volt. So middle of the 20 volt is 10 volt. So another Q point is 10 volts, that is 10 volt. That means Q point is 10 volt and 2 milliampere. That is the correct value of Q point, which is exactly middle of the DC load line. Now the value of DC, the DC, we have drawn the DC load line and we have find out the value of Q point. So we can draw the AC load line. So if you draw the AC load line now, so cutoff point for the AC load line, we know that is small v capital CE. Why we are choosing this? Because we are now superimposing AC signal. So that is why small v capital CE cutoff, one of the end point that can be written as capital V CEQ plus ICQ into RAC, where AC resistance, AC load resistance. So VCEQ, that is Q point, one of the Q point, that is how much? 10 volt. Okay, 10 volt plus ICQ, another Q point, that is 2 milliampere multiplied by AC load resistance. If you see here the circuit, how much AC load resistance we have? We have 3 kilo ohm AC load resistance. Okay, so that here in this case, AC load resistance and DC load resistance both are the same. So here we have RAC is equal to 3 kilo ohm. So that will be 10 volt plus 6 volt. That is will give the VCE, small v capital CE cutoff will give, that is 16 volt. Okay. So this is one of the end point for the AC load line. Okay. So another end point, that is saturation point for AC load line, that is small I capital C saturation is equal to ICQ plus VCEQ divided by RAC, that is 2 milliampere plus 10 volt divided by 3 kilo ohm. So it will be 5.13 milliampere. Okay. So this is 5.13 milliampere. So we got two end points. So first end point on x axis, that is 16 volt. Okay. So 16 volt is 5, 10, 15. So this is 16 volt. So this is end point for the AC load line. Okay. And which is less than the DC load line end point. DC load line end point was 20 volt. So this is 16 volt. Okay. And another end point on the y axis, that is now we are obtaining, that is 5.13 milliampere. So and end point for DC load line, it was 4. So now it is 5. So this is 5.13 milliampere. So if we combine these 2 points, so this is basically AC load line. Okay. So AC load line, and remember this AC load line, this load line and DC load line both will intersect at some point. And this intersection point is called as basically Q point. So the Q point is basically 10 volt and 2 milliampere. So this is AC load line and this is DC load line. So this is how, in this example, I have explained one can determine the AC, one can determine the end point for the AC load line just by drawing the DC load line and determining the Q point of your transistor. So let us try to see another numerical example based on again voltage divider circuit. Okay, but what different I have chosen in this numerical problem is to explain the AC load resistance. So problem is same, numerical problem is same. Just I have added one resistance at the output, that is 66 kilo ohm. If you remember, this compares this numerical problem 3 kilo ohm, 2 kilo ohm, 16 kilo ohm, 4 kilo ohm, 20 volt. So that is same. 3 kilo ohm, 2 kilo ohm, 16 kilo ohm, 4 kilo ohm, 20 volt. And here 6 kilo ohm, I have taken another, applied another resistance at the output. Okay, that is the difference. So this will create only the difference in AC load resistance. Otherwise, problem will remain same. So if you so so DC load line and Q point will remain same as we have done in the previous problem. So this problem remains same for the DC load line, because when we are doing the DC analysis, so because of this capacitor we have to omit this circuit, this circuit, this circuit we have to neglect. We have to consider only this circuit. So this circuit will be exactly similar to the previous circuit. So the end points will be 20 volt and 4 milliampere. So this is DC load line. Okay, so that is ICQ or IE is equal to 2 milliampere and VCQ is equal to 10 volt. And the end point VC cutoff, that is 20 volt, and IC saturation, that is 4 milliampere. That is the DC load line and Q point. Okay. Now, if you see collector feed these two resistance in parallel. If you see, this collector is basically feeded through this collector resistance and this load resistance. So they are basically in parallel combination. So we have to determine AC resistance when we have to plot the AC load line. So we have plotted the DC load line. Okay. In order to plot now DC load line, we have plotted the DC load line. In order to now draw the AC load line, we have to determine the AC resistance of the circuit. So this RC, this 3 kilo ohm resistance and 6 kilo ohm resistance, they are in parallel, parallelly connected to the collector, because this is collector. So this is grounded, and that is another grounded. So this RC and this load resistance, they are basically connected parallel to each other through the collector. Okay. For the remember, this is happening only for the case of AC when we are drawing the AC load line. We will consider this resistance when we will draw the AC load line. Otherwise, we have to not consider this resistance. So RAC is equal to 3 kilo ohm parallel 6 kilo ohm. So that will give the 1 by 3 plus 1 by 6, that is 2 kilo ohm. So AC resistance is 2 kilo ohm. So we can determine, we can find out the small I capital C saturation, that is cutoff point for the AC load line, that is ICQ, that is 2 milliampere, plus VCQ, that is 10 volt, divided by RAC, that is 2 kilo ohms, that is 2 milliampere plus 5 milliampere, that is 7 milliampere. So IC saturation is equal to 7 milliampere, that is for AC load line. Similarly, small v capital C E will be equal to VCE capital V capital C EQ plus ICQ RAC. So that is 10 volt, VCQ, that is 10 volt, plus ICQ, that is 2 milliampere, into RAC, that is 2 kilo ohm. So that is 2 to 4, so 10, 4, that is 14 volt. So small v capital C, that is 14 volt. Now if you see here, the collector current for DC load line, that was end point was the 2 milliampere, and now for AC load line, that is 7 milliampere. And there is cutoff point for DC load line, that is 20 volt. Now that is for 14 volt. If you this 10, let us say 20, this is 14 volt, this is 7. If you combine these 2 points, so that is AC load line. Remember, this AC load line will always pass through the Q point of the DC Q point. So that is the DC, this is the Q point. So this is how we can tackle another type of problem when we are drawing the AC load line and determining the Q point of your transistor. So let us try to solve another numerical example on the AC load line and DC load line. And this numerical problem will exactly give you the concept how to choose Q point and how to draw the AC load line and DC load line, and how the amplification is done in a particular transistor. So if you see, so here I have shown a fixed bias configuration circuit diagram. So this is base resistance, source voltage, source resistance, AC input, it means input AC signal is applied, RC that is 2 kilo ohm, beta is given that is 100, and plus VCC that is 10 voltage given, and output voltage we are trying, AC output voltage we are trying here. Okay. So in order to draw the AC load line, first we have what we have to do, we have to draw the DC load line. Okay. So if we draw the DC load line, it means we have to find out the end point. So IC saturation and VCE cutoff for the DC load line. So if you do that, IC saturation is equal to plus VCC divided by RC, that is VCC 10 volt, RC that is 2 kilos, that is 5 milliampere. So this is one of the end point of the DC load line on Y axis. Another end point on the X axis for the DC load line, that is capital V, capital CE cutoff, that is equal to plus VC, that is 10 volt. Okay. So end point for the DC load line, that is 10 volt and 5 milliampere. And we have to determine Q point. So in order to determine the Q point, first we have to find out the base current, and then we have to by beta is given. If we multiply this beta with base current, that will give the IC, and that IC correspond to the Q point, ICQ. So base current can be determined in fixed bias configuration. We know that is plus IB just by applying Kirchhoff voltage line base emitter loop, plus IBRB plus VBE minus VCC equal to 0. So if you do that, 10 volt minus 0.7 divided by 470. So if you solve it, IB is equal to 20 microampere. Okay. So this will give the base current 20 microampere. In corresponding to this base current, we can find out the ICQ. Yeah, IC is equal to ICQ is equal to beta into IB, that is 100. Beta is given, and IB 20 microampere, that is ICQ is equal to 2 milliampere. So if this is 2 milliampere ICQ, so again we can apply Kirchhoff voltage line collector emitter loop in order to find out the another Q point, that is VCEQ. So VCEQ is equal to VCC minus ICQ into RC. Okay. So the 10 volt minus 2 kilo ohm into 2 milliampere, so that will give the VCQ equal to 6 volt. So these are the end point for the DC load line, that is 5 milliampere, 10 volt, and Q point, that is 2 milliampere and 6 volt. If you see Q point, so Q point ICQ should be exactly middle of the end point. That is, this is 5 and this is 2. That means okay, nearly this is one Q point is nearly half of middle of the Q DC load line, and this is 10 and this is 6. Okay, it means that we can assume that this Q point is nearly middle of the DC load line. Okay. Now we can draw the Q point, a DC load line, and we can find out, we have find out the Q point. Now we can find out the end point for the AC load line. End point for the AC load line, that is small v capital C cutoff is equal to capital V CEQ plus ICQ into RAC. So this is basically 6 volt plus ICQ, that is 2 milliampere multiplied by RAC. So AC resistance, that is 2 kilo ohm. So if you do that, so small v capital CE cutoff, that is the end point for the AC load line, that is 10 volt. Another end point of the AC load line, that is small I capital C saturation, that is collector saturation current, is equal to capital I capital CQ plus VCQ divided by RAC, that is 2 milliampere. So this is 2 milliampere plus this is 6 volt divided by 2 kilo ohm, that is 5 milliampere. Okay. So in this case also, if you see cutoff point that is 10 volt, that is 5 milliampere. So here if you compare this cutoff point for the AC load line and cutoff point for the DC load line. So for the DC load line, cutoff point is 10 volt. Here also for AC signal, cutoff point is 10 volt. And for here, cutoff point is 5 milliampere. Here also for AC signal, cutoff point is 5 milliampere. That means in this problem, in this present situation, the cutoff point for the AC load line and DC load line both are the same. That means both load line are superimposing each other. Okay. Now if you draw the load line, okay, so this is y axis, this is x axis, this is small v capital C after because we have superimposed the input AC signal, and this is small I capital C. So this is the 4 volt, 8 volt, 10 volt, and this is 1, 3, 5. So this is 5. So both end point for the DC load line and AC load line, both points are same. So if we combine these two lines, so that is basically giving the AC load line and DC load line. And Q point we have determined. Q point is basically, as I have discussed in the theory, Q point is solely is determined by the DC signal, DC current and DC voltage, that is 2 milliampere and 6 volt. So here 2 milliampere, that is Q point, and 6 volt, that is Q point. Okay, so this is Q point. Now let us assume that whatever this input signal we have applied, okay, this input signal have some current value. So suppose an AC input signal voltage injects a sinusoidal base current. So when we have applied this input AC signal, so this inject a base current. Okay, this will obviously inject a sinusoidal base current. So this value of sinusoidal base current that is given, the peak value, that is 10 microampere. So whatever sinusoidal signal we are applying at the input AC signal, that have the peak value, that is how much? That is 10 microampere, that is given. Okay. Then what will happen? How the amplification will be done of this signal, that we can understood by this numerical problem. So if we do that, so we know that base current due to DC signal, when there was no input signal, that was 20 microampere. Okay, so this 20 microampere was the purely DC signal. Okay, and how much we are signal applying? We are applying plus minus 10 microampere. That means if we write total input current, input base current, that is small I capital V, obviously that is equal to capital I capital B plus small I small b. So that is equal to 20 microampere DC current plus minus 10 microampere AC current. Okay, that means this current will 10 microampere will aid during positive half cycle, and during other cycle this 10 microampere will subtract. So the total base current now, what we are applying at the input, that is changing from 30 to 10 microampere. This 30 microampere will be maximum current and 10 microampere will be minimum current. So if you do that, so let us say this is the base current, this is DC 0 microampere, 10 microampere, 20 microampere, 30, 40, 50. This is what, that is the, this current correspond to the purely DC base current. Okay, so this what we have given, we have given with the 20 microampere current. That means we have to apply, this is 0, 10, 20. So this 20 microampere current, this correspond to the Q point. On this 20 microampere current, okay, this is the base current, DC base current. On this we are superimposing a 10 microampere AC signal. So this is, let us say, small I small c, small I small b, that is this current 10 microampere small I small b we are superimposing. We are superimposing on which? On 20 microampere DC signal. So total current will be equal to small I capital B, that is basically is moving from plus 30, we are imposing on 20 microampere, so that will go move from plus 30 and 10, plus 30 and 10, plus 30 plus 30 plus 10, plus 30 microampere, 10 microampere, 30 microampere, 10 microampere, 30 microampere, 10 microampere. So this is how your now total input current is changing when we superimpose this input current. So how your total collector current after amplification and total collector emitter voltage after amplification will looks like. Okay, so we can find out. So corresponding to this AC signal, pure AC signal, that is 10 microampere, so we can find out the pure collector current due to the AC signal. So small I small c can be determined by just multiplying beta into IB, beta into small I small b, that is 100 into 10 microampere. That is, it means if 10 microampere base current purely AC signal is applying, so that will give the 1 milliampere collector current. This is purely due to the sinusoidal. This is instantaneous signal. Okay, and similarly we can find out small v small ce, and this voltage drop is purely because of the AC signal, that is small I small c into capital RC, that is 1 milliampere multiplied by 2 kilo ohm, that is 2 volt. So this small I small c, this is collector current, output current because of the purely AC signal. When purely AC signal was applied, there was no DC signal. There was no biasing in the circuit. And this is the collector emitter voltage drop. This voltage drop was happening when there was no DC biasing was done. So that is 2 volt. Okay. So we can find out the resultant collector current and resultant collector emitter voltage drop when both transistor biasing as well as input AC signal is applied. So that is what the case is amplifier. Then small I capital C, obviously that will be equal to, we know that small I capital C is equal to capital I capital C plus minus small I small c. Okay. So capital I capital C we know that is capital I capital C we know that is how much we have written, that is 2 milliampere. So small I capital C will be equal to 2 plus 1, 2 minus 1. 2 plus 1 that is 3 milliampere, 2 minus 1 that is 1 milliampere. So it means your collector current will, the magnitude of collector current will move from 3 milliampere to the 1 milliampere sinusoidal. Okay. I, I believe that you understood. Okay. And then corresponding to this, how much collector emitter voltage drop is there when we have applied input AC signal along with the DC biasing. So this small v capital CE can be written as a small v capital V capital CE when this voltage will be maximum. So this obviously this voltage drop that will be minimum. So that will be minus small v CE, that is capital V capital CE, that is 6 volt, and small v small ce, that is 2 volt. So this once it will add and once it will subtract. So here we are subtracting, that is 6 volt minus 2 volt, that is 4 volt. And here 6 volt plus 2 volt, that is 8 volt. Okay. So the output voltage is moving now, collector emitter voltage is moving now from 8 volt to 4 volt. Okay. So if you draw, so here this is output voltage. So output voltage is swinging from 8 volt to 4 volt, and your output current, that is collector current, total collector current is swinging from 3 milliampere to 1 milliampere. If there is no AC signal, then your collector current is basically 2 milliampere and your collector emitter voltage is 6 volt. But when we have applied this input AC signal, then your amplified signal is moving from 8 volt to 4 volt and 3 milliampere to 1 milliampere. That is what amplification is done when we have applied an AC input signal when transistor is properly biased with the applied DC voltage. This small I capital C, this directly can be determined by knowing this small I capital B. Here I have determined because we have two value of maximum value of base current, superimposed base current, small I capital B 30 and small I capital B 10. So corresponding, if you multiply beta, so that will give the small I capital C, that is 3 and 1 milliampere. So that is what I have done. Otherwise, I have explained here clearly. So this is what we have learned in this problem. So in this lecture, I have explained 3 numerical problem. I have started with the basic concept of amplifier and then how we are drawing the DC load line and AC load line. Okay. Then in first numerical example, I have drawn the DC load line and AC load line. Then in second numerical example, again I have drawn the AC load line and DC load line. And in third example, numerical example, I have shown you how AC load line and DC load line can be drawn on a transistor and how the action of amplification is done and how one can find out the amplified output voltage and amplified output current just by drawing the DC load line and AC load line and applying an input AC signal. So this is what I wanted to explain you in this lecture. So with this, I thank you all for listening me carefully. Thank you very much.